Hey, hello, good afternoon. TikTok, how are you doing? Hello on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. My law firm helps immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. Thanks for being with me on the Asylum Answers show. Go ahead, say it first. Well, leave me your comments, your questions about asylum. But first, say hello. Let me hear where you are. I want to know where you are watching from today. Love seeing where the followers are at, where our community is. Hello in the chat. Yes, sir. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, yeah, totally. Thank you. So listen, go ahead, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Hey there on TikTok. Yep. Hey, Marissa. I'm going to answer your questions about asylum. So start thinking about what questions you have about asylum in the United States, and I'm going to answer them. But first, a couple words about important recent developments that may well affect, definitely could affect asylum in the United States. And this is the news that I'm sure you've all heard about by now, the shakeup in the presidential race. So Biden said he's not going to run for president. He's dropping out of that race. And it's looking right now like Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, is going to be the Democratic nominee for president going up against Trump. So wanted to take a second to talk about what would that mean if Harris were to win the presidency. What would that mean for immigration and for asylum seekers in particular? Well, we don't really know. So listen, Harris has said things that a lot of immigration advocates like to hear, that, she's open. She wants to be able to provide a pathway for a lot of undocumented people to eventually get status, to get legal status in the United States, including dreamers, the people that were brought here as children to the United States without status. And, she has talked about wanting to have a more humane and just immigration system. And that's all well and good, right? But we got to look at the actions that her administration has taken. As vice president, she has been championing Biden's immigration policies. And Biden, too, used a lot of the right words and talked in what I think is a favorable way, in a good way, in my opinion, about immigration and about asylum. But then over time, well, not over time, from the beginning, some of his policies were anti-immigrant. And more recently, he has amped up his rhetoric and taken more steps to become more anti-immigrant for political reasons, right? Because polls show that a lot of people are kind of tired of immigration and they're sick of people coming through the southern border in particular. And because, the presidential hopefuls are looking at these polling numbers, they're going to change their rhetoric and probably their behaviors to give people or what they want, or at least what these presidential candidates think people want. So basically, Biden has become more sort of anti-immigrant in his rhetoric and in policies of late, the last few months in particular. So, Harris is a part of that administration, and so she has been, championing whatever Biden has been putting forth. So you got to keep that in mind. Also, you got to keep in mind that, like Biden, she is probably going to feel like she has to be sort of toward the center or even center right on immigration issues, because she will probably think that will help her win the presidency. She doesn't want to be out of touch with the electorate or way off from what she thinks the electorate wants. So if she actually wins, though, what kind of policies can we look for? Can we expect? Excuse me. It's hard to say. It's really hard to say. We haven't yet seen any formal policy proposals from her campaign. Well, she hasn't even been nominated yet, but we don't have anything concrete about, what I would do if I were president on immigration or on asylum. So we'll see what that says, but then, only time will tell if she wins what she actually does or even tries to do as president. But I can tell you this, it's going to be more favorable to immigrants than what Donald Trump wants to do and what he will do, all right? And more favorable than what he did do as president. Trump effectively tried to shut down immigration into the United States, period. Okay, that's what he wanted to do, and he did a pretty darn good job of reducing significantly immigration and making it a lot harder to win asylum. So, there's no contest in my mind between, if you're an immigrant or someone who cares about immigrants, whose policies are going to be more favorable for immigrants, both in general, but also with regard to asylum seekers. And that's Harris over Trump for sure in that regard. All right, let's go to the questions. Let's see. Hey there. Good to see you as well. Turn this off. For those of you who just joined, hey there on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm Brian Manning, and I'm an asylum lawyer. My law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers, and we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. We're based in Texas, but listen, it doesn't matter. We help people all over the country. So it doesn't matter where you are. We can help you no matter where you live in the United States. We have lots of clients in Texas, of course. That's where we're based. But we also have a ton of clients in California, Florida, New York, around Chicago, everywhere in between. All right. We help people all over the country. Listen, on YouTube, you're going to see this. LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, you're not seeing it, but it's winasylum.com. That's a URL. That's a website you can go to. winasylum.com. So that's WINASYLUM.com. If you want to talk with us about your situation, right? Like if you want to see if we might be able to help you strengthen your case, help you secure your future in America through asylum, get confidence and certainty around your ability to stay here, your ability to build here the life that you've dreamed of building to stay safe, then we should talk. Schedule a consultation. Go to winasylum.com. Let's go to the questions. All right, let's see. Yeah, nice. Okay. Yep. I see. Very good. All right, let's go over to TikTok. On TikTok. Yep, totally. Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Adam. Says, you are great. Appreciate the kind words. Very nice of you. Thanks for joining us. I'm glad that you're here. Yep. Right on. On TikTok, we've got my friend got a refugee status after a few months. He got an email from the Home Office refusing email feedback. Listen, Najib, thanks for the comment, but if it's the Home Office, that sounds like it's the UK, not the United States. I'm a U.S. asylum lawyer. We help people in the United States. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to help or even opine or talk at all about other countries' immigration systems. So I really recommend that you talk to an asylum lawyer in the United Kingdom if that's where your friend is. All right. All right. So Eve Giu, Biole Grace, sorry if I mispronounced that, on TikTok says, sir, I applied for asylum with the immigration court, but they didn't send me a receipt, but my clock started. So the question is, if you apply for asylum with the immigration court, are you going to get some kind of notice, some kind of letter that says, hey, we got your asylum application and your case is pending? The answer is no. With USCIS for affirmative asylum cases, you do get a letter that says just that. With the immigration court, it's different. You do not receive any kind of letter or phone call or email or notification of any kind that says application accepted, received, it's pending. You can, though, however, when you apply, you can print off a copy of at least like the first 3 pages of your asylum application. And when you take in your asylum application to file it, you can say, look, I made a copy of the first 3 pages. Could you please stamp this front page to show that you accepted and received my asylum application? It will have a date. It'll say, accepted on X date. And you can keep that as proof that they accepted your asylum application. You can also do this by mail. It's a bit tricky because you have to send in, the original and then this copy and a self-addressed envelope that they can stick it back in and mail it back out to you at no expense to them. So that's a little bit harder. But anyway, the point is that's the only route really to get confirmation in writing from the immigration court that you have applied for asylum, that they've accepted the application. But the fact that your clock has started, if your EAD or your work permit clock has started, that is confirmation. That means that they've accepted it. So you're good. All right. Thanks for the question. Let's go. All right. I live in Dallas, says King Nana. I used to live in Dallas. Nice. Where are you watching this from now, King? King Nana, let me know. Nati says, hello, Brian. Thank you for the great advice. I have questions. What questions do you have for me? Let's hear them. All right. So, Sufu, I think. Sorry, I can't see it very well. Or maybe it's Sophia. Says, if I file for asylum online, how long does it take to get my receipt notice for my clock to start? Good question. So, the question is, if you apply for asylum online with USCIS, how long does it take you to get your receipt notice, and when is your EAD clock going to start? EAD stands for Employment Authorization Document. That's a fancy way of saying work permit. So here's the thing. One of the great things about applying for asylum online with USCIS rather than by mail is that you get that receipt notice right away. Sometimes it's the same day. Sometimes it's like the next business day or 2 business days after, but it's very, very quick. That's actually a major benefit. If you apply by mail, by physical paper and send it by mail, then you're going to be waiting months to get your receipt notice. When I say receipt notice, this is the letter that says, hey, we have accepted your asylum application. It is pending as of X date. So whatever date the letter says on it, as you know, it's been pending from X date, whatever that X date is, that's when your EAD clock starts. It starts counting toward those 150 days you need to get to be able to apply for your work permit with USCIS, which you should also do online. I recommend applying for asylum online and applying for your work permit online through your My USCIS account. Thanks for asking the question. All right, let's see. Nice. Okay. So, all right, let's go over to YouTube. So I've already, I hired a document preparer with my case. Can I still do lawyer? Oh yeah, totally. Good question. Thank you, Joseph, for asking. The question is it too late to hire an asylum lawyer if you applied for asylum using the help of someone who wasn't a lawyer, let's say document preparer, or let's say you applied on your own with no help at all? Is it too late later to then go get a lawyer? Thankfully, the answer to this is no. It's definitely not too late. We help people all the time in this position who applied by themselves or with the help of a so-called document preparer. Because listen, there's a lot that can still be done to strengthen your asylum case at any time, really, before you have your interview or your individual hearing in court. There's a lot that can be done to strengthen your case. So we work with people in this position all the time. There's really 3 steps that we take. The first is what's called an asylum roadmap. This is where we put everything together in writing about your case to convince the judge or asylum officer that you meet all the requirements for asylum before you ever set foot in that asylum office or immigration court. It's basically doing your case on paper. The second step is preparation. We're going to prepare you intensively for your asylum interview or asylum court hearing. Okay. And then the third step is representation, where we're going to represent you during your interview or court hearing and advocate for you to make sure your rights are respected and to make sure that judge or officer truly understands your case and they see how you meet all the requirements for asylum. So no, it's not too late. It's not too late at all. I want to talk with you. All right. To talk with us about your case, to see if, we think that we might be able to help you increase your chances for asylum success, go to winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation. Here's the good news. It's free. All right. We used to charge around $200 for this consultation, but now the asylum strategy session, where we're going to analyze your case and tell you whether we think we can help you, it's free. All right. At least the moment that I'm doing this live show, the Asylum Answer Show, right now it's free. That might change. So take advantage of it while it's still free and go ahead and schedule that consultation now. Go to winasylum.com so you can talk with one of our asylum professionals about your situation, and we can tell you whether we think we can help you. And if so, we're going to tell you how. We're going to set forth for you exactly what steps we think need to happen and what we're going to do in your case to give you the best possible chance to secure your future in America through asylum. Okay? That's what we want to do. All right. Okay. Nice. Okay. So okay, nice question. So the question is from Sergio is, will doing the lawsuit make them deny my case? Gotcha. Thanks. Good question. So the question is, if you sue the government to force them to give you your asylum interview, is that going to somehow hurt your underlying asylum claim? Like, is the officer who does your interview and makes the decision, are they going to hold against you the fact that you sued, that you dare sue the mighty U.S. government to move your asylum case forward? Thankfully, the answer here is absolutely not. I'm really confident. I'm supremely confident that suing the government in what's called a mandamus lawsuit will not in any way negatively affect your underlying asylum case. And there's 3 reasons. First of all, the asylum officer who does your interview and makes the decision, well, they might not even know that you have sued the government. When I was an asylum officer with the government, we didn't even know that someone had sued. That information just didn't go in the asylum file. Second, well, let me just say that, that was a few years ago, right? And I'm not an asylum officer anymore. It's been a few years. I'm an asylum lawyer now. But based on all of the, the cases that we've been doing where we sue the government, and then we do represent our clients during the interview, I have every reason to believe that there's still a good chance that the officer who does your interview might not even know that you sued. All right. Second is that even if they do know, I don't think they're going to care. Okay. It's understandable that someone in your position who's been waiting years would take this step to advance your case, take this step to move toward getting certainty and confidence around your future. It's understandable. Also, we sue all the time in the United States. We're a very litigious society. This means we like to sue. It's just not a big deal for us. Okay. Third, they can't use this against you, not formally at least. It's just not one of the negative factors they can point to in justifying a negative decision. They have to justify a negative decision, okay? They have to explain their reasoning and how they got there. And this, the person sued us, sued the government, is not a reason they can use. I know that. I say that with confidence, okay? So no, suing the government will not negatively impact your asylum case, okay? It's understandable. I completely understand why you would think that, right? I mean, there's a lot of countries in which probably, if you dared to sue that government, they are going to hold it against you. They're going to say, how dare you? And they're going to punish you for it. But thankfully, I can tell you that I truly, wholeheartedly, 100% believe that that's not how it is here, that it's not going to hurt your case. Okay. So keep that in mind. What is an asylum? What is the mandamus? What is the mandamus? Yeah, totally. Yeah, I should explain that. So what is this mandamus lawsuit that I'm always talking about? So listen, mandamus is like this fancy Latin word that basically means like we command or we demand. And in the immigration context, this lawsuit is used to force the government to do their job. You see, the government has a responsibility to act in a reasonable time on any immigration application. If they don't do that, you can sue them through a mandamus lawsuit where you're asking a federal judge to tell USCIS to do its job. You're asking the judge to tell USCIS, hey, you have to give this person their interview and their decision. You have to do it basically right away. You got to do it soon. This is an extremely powerful tool. We use it all the time. We've been using it a ton recently with great effect, great effectiveness to get our asylum clients their interview and their decision, okay? If you've been waiting for years for an interview, you should definitely consider this. If you're ready to move on with your life, get certainty around your future, then you should contact us to talk about this mandamus lawsuit. I love this. I promise you our clients are absolutely loving it. All right, let's go back over to TikTok, see what's going on there. Okay. Good question. Can I file for asylum now, being that I just came on a visitor's visa? I was told to wait for 6 months. Good questions. Should you wait for a while to apply for asylum after having come to the United States on a visa? Is it okay to apply like right away, or is it advisable to wait for some certain amount of time? Listen, all the time I hear people say, oh, I've heard that you should wait. I heard you should wait 3 months, or I've heard you should wait 6 months, or I've heard you should wait 9 months to apply for asylum after having come to the United States on a tourist visa, a student visa, whatever the case may be. That's wrong, okay? There is definitely no downside to applying early. In fact, in my experience, based off of my experience as a former government asylum officer and now as an asylum lawyer, I think the sooner that you apply, the better. I think it actually looks better. I think the officer, in the officer's eyes, it's like, oh, this person must have really been fleeing persecution, because they've been thinking about this for a while and they've had this planned and they've been preparing things to apply for asylum, instead of like, oh, they applied after like 11 months. It looks like, they just realized, oh, there's a 1-year filing deadline. This is my only chance to maybe stay here. I guess I'll apply for asylum. I think it looks better if you apply sooner. Also, the sooner that you apply for asylum, the sooner you can get your work permit based on your pending asylum case. So that's motivation for a lot of people to apply as soon as possible. So the answer is there's no need to wait. I think the sooner that you apply for asylum after arrival, the better. Thanks for asking that question. All right. Okay. What if my asylum case is in a bad place for asylum? Can I move to a good place and have my case there? Yes, Jane, you can. Thanks for the question. So the question is, can you move from one state to another for the purpose of trying to have your asylum case decided in a place that is more favorable to immigrants than a place that is really not good for asylum seekers? The answer is, listen, you can move and there's a good chance that you will have your case transferred. If you have a case pending before USCIS, a transfer between one jurisdiction to the other, if you move, is automatic. So if you move from Miami to New York, your case is automatically going to be transferred. You don't have any choice. Once you notify USCIS about the move, they automatically transfer your case. In immigration court, it's a little bit different. The case stays with the old judge unless you ask the judge to move it to the new place. If you ask them through a motion to change venue, usually they say yes. There's no guarantee, but usually they say yes. So can you say, you know what, I'm in a bad place now where the approval rate is very low. I'll just move to a place with a higher approval rate. Can you do that strategically to improve your chances for success? Yeah, you can. I don't think there's anything unethical about it or wrong. I think that as long as you truly move, then it's okay. You have to move though. You should not lie about this and be like, oh, I moved to San Francisco. Here's my address in San Francisco, but you haven't really moved. That's not good. That's immigration fraud. Don't do that. But if you're willing to actually move, then yeah, I do think it's worth considering if you're in a place with a low approval rate to move to a place with a high approval rate. So thanks for asking. Okay. Okay. All right. So, Purpose Child on TikTok says, how long when you do the application for biometrics do you get your date? I think, are you saying how long after you do biometrics will you get your asylum interview? Is that, yeah, I think that's what you're asking. So yeah, the question is, how long will you have to wait between doing your biometrics appointment with USCIS and actually having your asylum interview? So yeah, remember in the process, you apply for asylum, and then whether you've applied with USCIS or the immigration court, the next step is a biometrics appointment. The biometrics appointment usually happens quickly after you've applied for asylum, usually a few weeks, maybe a little bit more. And then the question though is what's between the next step? The next step after the biometrics is doing your asylum interview with USCIS. If it's an affirmative asylum case or if it's an immigration court, then it's, having immigration court hearings. The thing is, there's really no way to predict when your asylum interview is going to happen. There's no like set timeline that, you're going to get it X days or X months after your biometrics. Sometimes people have it almost immediately after the biometrics. Sometimes it's much, much longer. The two really don't affect each other. I mean, it's true that you will do a biometrics appointment before your asylum interview, but the fact that you've had your biometrics appointment doesn't really tell us anything about the timing for when your asylum interview will happen. One just does not affect the other in terms of the timing of how things occur. So you can't read anything into the fact that, I've had my biometrics. Maybe I'm ready to have my interview. Maybe it'll happen soon. doesn't necessarily mean that it will. Okay. Thanks for the question. Okay. All righty. Let's see. Okay. Okay, let's go over to YouTube and see what's going on YouTube. By the way, for all of you who just joined recently, I'm Brian Manning. I am an asylum lawyer, and my law firm is called Political Asylum Lawyers. We help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. And if you want to talk with us, go to winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. And it's super easy to schedule a consultation, a free asylum strategy session on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Sorry, TikTok, but everywhere else, you're going to see on the screen this graphic of what it looks like when you do that on your mobile phone. It's super quick. It's super easy to set up this consultation. It'll take like 2 minutes to set it up. And you'll get set up with one of our asylum professionals so that we can understand your situation and that we can assess your circumstances and tell you whether we think we can help you. Okay. I want to talk with you guys. Go to winasylum.com. You know, if you prefer the phone, that's fine. 713-909-0401. In TikTok, it's in my profile. 713-909-0401. Okay. Nice. Very nice. All right. Okay. Yeah, there we are. There we are. Let's see what's going on Facebook. Okay. Very good. Where is the best? Yeah, we get this question a lot. Let me address it because it's a popular one. People want to know about this. The question is, where is the best place to be an asylum seeker? In other words, where are you going to find the highest asylum approval rates? And there is actually a definitive, straightforward answer to this. It's California. That's the best state, California. Both the asylum offices, there's two of them in California, the asylum offices and the immigration courts in California tend to have high approval rates for asylum. The southern part of the country is bad for asylum. Houston, where I used to be an asylum officer with USCIS, is not friendly to asylum seekers. The Houston Asylum Office has a very low approval rate, as does the Miami Asylum Office. Now, I want to mention New York because New York is a curious case in the sense that the asylum office, the USCIS Asylum Office in New York, has a very low approval rate. In fact, it was the lowest according to the most recent statistics among all asylum offices. However, the immigration court in New York City has a very high approval rate. So it's very different in that sense. Like pretty much everywhere else in the country, the approval rate between the asylum office and the immigration courts track. Like they're either high or they're either low, both of them. But in New York, it's different. They diverge. Asylum office, low approval rate. Immigration courts, high approval rate. So, but overall, California is the best place to be an asylum seeker in terms of approval rates for asylum. Thanks for the question. Okay, nice. Pilot Abdirahman says, have you seen anyone receive a receipt for asylum and a biometrics appointment at the same time? Thank you for the question. The question is it possible, does it ever happen that someone will receive both their asylum receipt notice and their biometrics appointment notice at the same time? And the answer is yes, we have seen it online. For people who apply online, we've seen them get both of those notices the same day. I've never seen it in paper. Like I've never seen both of those things arrive in the mail on the same day for people who apply for asylum by paper. But online, yeah, we have seen both those issued the same day. By way of background, I'm talking about the asylum receipt notice, which basically says, hey, we got your asylum application. It has been accepted and it's pending as of X date. That's the asylum receipt notice. The other thing we're talking about is the biometrics appointment notice, where you've got to go to this appointment at a USCIS office where they're going to take your photograph and fingerprints for use in background checks. Usually you first get the asylum receipt notice, and then usually a few weeks later, you get the biometrics appointment notice. But yeah, sometimes for online applicants, we've seen them both issued the same day. There you go. Thanks for asking the question. Yep. Adam says on TikTok, why do some asylum cases get their appointment after a few months only? Good question. So the question is, why is it that some people get their asylum interview super quickly, like just maybe a couple months after applying for asylum, while other people have been waiting for literally years for their asylum interview? So here's the thing. It is the policy of USCIS to try to give everyone their asylum interview as soon as possible. Like, they want to do this quickly. And for a while, yeah, it was the case that most people were getting their asylum interview super quickly, like 2 or 3 months after applying. However, they got sidetracked and they got backlogged when there was a huge surge of people coming to the southern border to seek asylum, because USCIS asylum officers have to do what are called credible fear interviews for these people that come to the border. And USCIS policy says that they have to prioritize those credible fear interviews over asylum interviews. So basically, when there's a lot of people coming to the border, it pulls asylum officers away from asylum interviews and puts them on credible fear interviews, which means that the people applying for asylum are going to get put into the queue and into a backlog, okay? However, due to a recent, effectively an asylum ban by Biden with regard to the southern border that's still in place despite legal challenges, because of that, numbers have been dropping of people arriving at the southern border, which means fewer credible fear interviews, which means more time for officers to be able to do asylum interviews. So actually, I am kind of hopeful, as a silver lining to this terrible policy, that this might result in asylum interviews going back to being quite quick for people that apply for asylum with USCIS. But other than that, there's no way to predict how long you might have to wait for your asylum interview with USCIS. It could be fast, it could be years. If you wait for multiple years, we should talk about suing the government to force them to give you your interview. Thanks for asking. Okay. All right. So where do you send, James on TikTok says, where do you send the asylum application form if you're in removal proceedings and have a master calendar hearing coming up? Thanks, James. Or did I say Adam? That was James. Yeah, that was James. The question is, where do you send your asylum application if you're in removal proceedings in immigration court and you've got a hearing coming up, a master calendar hearing? So listen, in immigration court, you have to apply for asylum with the actual court where your case is being heard. So on the notices that you receive in the mail that say, hey, you've got a hearing coming up at this address, that's the address to which you can send your asylum application materials. You can do that by mail, by physical mail, or you can go to that court and do it in person. There'll be like a window, a kiosk window thing with someone working at it where you can go and give your asylum application to submit it. Okay, so that's how it happens. Or you can do it at your master calendar hearing. You can take it with you and say, Judge, I've got this asylum application. They're either going to take it from you and give it to like a court clerk to process, or they're going to say, oh, okay, after this hearing, go down to the window and give it to the clerk at the window to apply for asylum. So those are your options. But listen, you need to do it during your first year in the United States. So you can't wait and say, oh, okay, well, then I'll do it at my hearing. If that hearing occurs more than 1 year from your date of entry, you're going to be out of luck with regard to the 1 year filing deadline. You shouldn't wait. In that scenario, you need to either mail it or take it in person to apply before you reach that 1 year mark after having entered the United States. Thanks for asking. All right. All right, so what if you get the asylum receipt notice from USCIS, but not the biometric notice? Good question. The question is, what happens if you get a receipt notice from USCIS, but not the biometrics appointment notice? What's going on and what should you do? So listen, after you apply for asylum, usually you get, not usually, always, first you get the asylum receipt notice, which is a document that says, hey, we got your application, we accepted it, it's pending as of X date. If you apply online for asylum with USCIS, usually this asylum receipt notice gets issued to you the same day that you applied or maybe 1 or 2 days after. If you apply by mail, it's going to take a long time. It's going to take several months, maybe even 9, 10 months, maybe even a year. So that's one reason you should apply online for asylum with USCIS and not by mail. And then the next step is getting this biometrics appointment notice, a letter that says, hey, we've scheduled a appointment for you at a biometrics place, application support center, where you're going to go and have your fingerprints and photograph taken for use in background checks. If you get the first letter, the receipt notice, and you're like, wait, why haven't I gotten a biometrics notice? It's okay. It's going to take a while. Usually the biometrics notice comes a few weeks after the receipt notice, but sometimes it's much longer. And it doesn't mean there's any problem with your case or that anything's wrong. It just happens sometimes, and you don't need to worry about it. Eventually you will get that biometrics appointment notice. You don't need to take action. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help your case to move things faster or to help you substantively in your asylum case. And it does not help you with regard to your work permit that you're eventually going to be seeking. The fact that you're waiting on your biometrics notice doesn't affect any of that stuff at all. So don't worry about it. All right. Thanks for the question. All right. Adam says, after 2 years, can we make a mandamus? The question is, how long do you have to wait to successfully sue the government to force them to give you your interview in what's called a mandamus lawsuit? So listen, the government's supposed to act in a reasonable amount of time on your case. And if they don't do that, you can sue them. And we do this through a mandamus lawsuit where we're asking a judge to tell the asylum office, you got to do your job. You got to give this person their interview and their decision. So how long should you wait before doing this lawsuit? Because if you do it too early, you're going to lose. The judge is going to say, this is not an unreasonable delay. Therefore, USCIS can keep delaying, keep taking its time. So you want to wait long enough so the judge goes, oh, I agree with you, asylum applicant. This is not a reasonable delay. This delay is unreasonable. So what is an unreasonable delay? Well, listen, I would say at least 3 years. Okay. At the moment that I'm making this show, that we're doing this Asylum Answers show for people that have their case at the Los Angeles Asylum Office, it's actually, I would say 5. Okay. 5 years, but everywhere else we're having success with people who have been waiting just 3 years. Okay. Just 3 years. So 3 years for every asylum office except the Los Angeles Asylum Office. At this moment, I would advise you to wait 5 if it's with the Los Angeles Asylum Office. Okay. And then, so these timelines that I'm talking about will, I think, put you in a very good position to have success with a mandamus lawsuit to force your asylum interview so that you can win your case, right, and go forward with confidence about your future in the United States. Know that you're going to be safe, that you can stay here and build the life here that you've dreamed of building. Thanks for the question. All right, good question. Benny Paul Jot says, can we cancel the master calendar hearing if you already had an interview with USCIS? Thanks, good question. The question is, if you already had your asylum interview with USCIS and then your case gets sent to immigration court, can you cancel the first hearing in immigration court, what's called the master calendar hearing? All right, so here's the thing. It doesn't really matter whether you've had an asylum interview with USCIS and then were sent to court, or if instead you came to the border. In immigration court, there's usually 2 hearings. The first one is this master calendar hearing. Super weird name, I know. This one is mainly administrative in nature. You don't have to be ready to fight your case and explain your asylum case at this one. And no matter how you came to the country and no matter how your case got to court, which is to say whether you had an asylum interview with USCIS previously or not, in any scenario, you can ask the judge to skip that hearing, to cancel that master calendar hearing and skip straight to the individual hearing. Usually, I do think this is a good idea. With most of our clients, we recommend this. We recommend that we basically do in writing what would normally be done in person at the master calendar hearing. We submit this, and then we submit a motion where we're asking the judge to cancel that hearing. We say, hey, judge, we just submitted the documents, with the stuff that would normally be done in person. We did it in writing, called written pleadings. Therefore, it's not really necessary to have the master calendar hearing. Therefore, could you please cancel it and go ahead and schedule the individual hearing? In most cases, I do think it makes sense to do this. It is advisable. I recommend it. So yeah, and the judge always says yes, and it moves your case along faster, which in most cases I think is a good idea. So yeah, the short answer to your question is yes, you can. All right. Nice. Okay. Okay, cool. Pilot Abdul Rahman says, can you clarify what you said about the Los Angeles Asylum Office concerning Mandamus? Yep, happy to do so. The question is, what's up with the Los Angeles Asylum Office when it comes to Mandamus lawsuits? All right, so a Mandamus lawsuit where you're suing the government and asking the judge to tell the asylum office, hey, you have to give this person their interview and their decision right away. This Mandamus lawsuit that I'm talking about all the time because it's amazing. It works. Our clients absolutely love it. I have said before that it's a little bit different with the Los Angeles Asylum Office than with other asylum offices. So what we have found, and we've been doing this a lot the last year and a half or so, is that in all the other asylum offices, we're having success with people who have been waiting for their interview for just 3 years, people who applied like 3 years or more ago. However, with Los Angeles, it's a bit more tricky. They're fighting back and they're not just giving in and saying, okay, we don't want to fight this. Here's your interview. That's what they're doing at the other asylum offices. But at Los Angeles, if the person's been waiting less than 5 years and you sue, then they're saying, no, we're going to fight this one. We're not going to give you your interview. You might still win your case. The judge might agree with you that the delay is unreasonable, but it's going to take a long time. It's going to take probably a year for that case to be fought out in federal court. As where everywhere else, we're resolving these super quickly. We're getting our clients their interviews, in some cases, like right away, because when we sue, the lawyers for the government say, Brian, we don't want to fight this one. If your client will just agree to drop the case, the federal court case, then we'll give them their interview. Like sometimes it's like right away. But in Los Angeles, they're fighting back if it's less than 5 years that you've been waiting. So that's how it's a little bit different than the other asylum offices, okay? So Los Angeles, if you've been waiting for 5 years, there's a very good chance that they're not going to fight back, that when you sue, they're going to say, we don't want to fight this. Here's your interview. In other offices, it's a little bit shorter. It's only, we've been having success with just 3 years where they won't even fight back. And they'll say, we don't want to fight this. Here's your interview, okay? That's that. Hope that helps. Nice. Congratulations on that. Always love to hear about it when people win Asylum. So good to hear. Another life changed. It changes your life, your family's lives for generations to come. That's awesome. All right. Faith Alone says, why do asylum officers refuse to interview people who entered with the U.S. with a C1D1 visa, C1D visa? The question is, why is it that certain sailors, people who are literally sailors on a ship who enter the United States under the sailor visa, there's a specific visa for this, right? For people who are what's called a crewman on a ship. Why do those people not get an asylum interview? And instead, when they apply for asylum, USCIS says, sorry, we're not going to interview you. Instead, we're sending you straight to immigration court. Why does that happen? Well, there's a rule that says that people who enter under the crewman visa are ineligible to get asylum, actually. And they are eligible to get what's called withholding of removal. So another form of protection that can help you. It's not as good as asylum, but it will allow you, if granted, allow you to at least stay here and to get a work permit. And you can get that in immigration court. Asylum officers can't give you that. And the rules just say, listen, we're not going to do asylum interviews for them. Instead, they're going to go to court and they can apply for asylum. But the best thing they can actually get is what's called withholding of removal. Now, listen, it's different when you come to the United States, if you are admitted under the transit visa. So most crewmen get issued what's called a combined C1 and then /D visa. One of them is for crewmen, the other is for transiting in the United States. And what matters is when you come to the board, like the airport or the seaport, and immigration like stamps your passport or they let you in the country, they're going to designate which of those they're letting you in under. They don't let you in both as a crewman and as a person who is in transit in the United States. It's going to be one or the other based on what you tell them the purpose of your trip is. And if they designate that you are someone who is in transit, then you can get asylum and you will have your interview with USCIS. But if you are designated to be a crewman, then you will not be eligible for asylum. So this distinction is really important as to like how you are viewed, how you are admitted to the country, and which of those status. You're not going to be admitted both as a crewman and as a person in transit, but rather one or the other. Okay, so crewmen are not eligible for asylum, but people admitted to transit in the United States are eligible for asylum. All right. Okay, cool. Nice. Thank you. For everyone who joined recently, I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government. As an immigration officer, both when I was a diplomat doing visas and then as an asylum officer with USCIS, I have interviewed and made decisions in thousands of immigration cases. But now I'm an asylum lawyer. So I take those insights and the knowledge that I gained working on the other side of the desk, so to speak, and I apply them and leverage them in helping our clients to secure their future in America through asylum. All right. So we're based in Texas, but we have clients all over the country. We have people all over. So it doesn't matter where you live. And listen, if you want to talk with us, right now we're offering free consultations. Go to winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. And that is where you can schedule a free asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals who's going to analyze your situation and tell you whether we think we can help you. And if so, we're going to tell you how exactly, what steps we're going to take concretely to give you the best possible chance to secure your future in America through asylum. Scheduling this consultation is super easy. You're going to see it on the screen now, what it looks like. If you're watching this on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, TikTok, sorry. But TikTok, trust me, it's super easy to do this on your mobile. It takes like 2 minutes to get set up with an asylum strategy session. We want to talk with you. We want to see what's going on and tell you whether we think we can help you to secure your future in America through asylum. That is that for today. Thank you so much for being here with us on this Asylum Answers show. We're going to be live again much more frequently to answer your questions about asylum in the United States. But until then, listen, if you're ready to get serious and really talk about your case, go to winasylum.com. It's WINASYLUM.com. I want to talk with you guys, okay? I want to talk and see what's going on and see if we can help you, all right? Thank you very much. Have a great afternoon and early evening, wherever you may be in the United States. And I look forward to engaging with you. Again, I'm Brian Manning. And as always, it really is. It's a pleasure to support you in your asylum journey. So thank you very much. Have a good night. Bye, guys. Bye.